Right now at the Toyota Time Sales Event, get a 2-year, no-cost maintenance lease on a new 2015 Toyota Camry SE for $199 a month. That's just $199 a month.
Thanks, Jen.
Thanks, Jen.
Now you both have Camrys.
Yeah.
Toyota, let's go places.
Why is CBS 12 the one to turn to for weather?
More meteorologists.
More local experience. More screens. Means you're protected with accuracy.
Anytime, anywhere, any device.
Oh, and by the way, we're the only station that has a 24-hour weather channel.
The one to turn to for weather? CBS 12.
Today and every day, the one to turn to is CBS 12 News. Right now, a CBS 12 storm special. From Category 1s to Category 5s. The state of Florida has seen some of the biggest hurricanes of all time.
There's a gripping in your stomach. We're not going to live.
Charlie, Francis, Ivan, and Jean were just some of the strongest storms to assault the state, leaving billions of dollars in damage behind.
Devastation everywhere.
The police called immediately after the hurricane and said, your church is in the street.
CBS 12 takes a look at 12 of the top hurricanes to hit Florida over the last 100 years.
Living here in South Florida, we're no strangers to hurricanes.
No, we are not. Francis, Jean, Wilma, those are just some of the big names impacting us. And over the next hour, we're going to take a closer look at the top 12 storms to hit our state in the past century. Severe weather expert Jeff Biradelli joins us now from the Storm Track Weather Center. And Jeff, you've actually tracked these storms.
That's true, and nearly 40% of all hurricanes that hit the United States hit Florida. And technology has changed over the years to better track these systems. We start our countdown with Hurricane Jean, the deadliest hurricane in the 2004 Atlantic hurricane season. Jean is blamed for more than 3,000 deaths in Haiti and at least 4 in Florida. CBS 12's Suzanne Boyd takes us to Vero Beach. Hurricane Jean is number 12.
This view is awesome. I mean, you can't get this view. The only place you could beat it would be maybe on the ocean.
The perfect place for Jim Newman to retire, Fairlane Harbor Mobile Home Park in Vero Beach. He moved here in the spring of 2004.
Just a wonderful place to live, and the residents here are just wonderful.
But his retirement party was about to be crashed by Mother Nature. First, Hurricane Francis struck the Treasure Coast in the beginning of September. 3 weeks later, Hurricane Jean was setting its sights on the same coast.
I said, what in the hell am I doing here?
Jim and many others figured Jean would just go harmlessly out to sea, but it would make a strange loop in the Atlantic instead, increase to a Category 3 storm, and set course for the very same area hit by Francis.
It does look like a direct hit is nothing short of just likely at this point.
September 25th, Jean arrives. Jim makes the decision to ride out the storm at a nearby motel.
We got a room, we got up there, there's no air conditioner, and it's 90-some degrees. And I said, you know, let's go back and ride it out.
They hop in the car and battle flooded roads, blinding rains, and dangling power lines. They eventually make it home and hunker down.
We got in a center closet, had all the pillows and blankets that we owned for protection, and just hoping it didn't tear the trailer apart.
Water from the Intracoastal pours into the mobile home park. Winds are gusting over 100 miles per hour.
The debris that was flying in the air, a lot of people's carports were torn loose, and that's like a rocket. When they hit a house, they just go right through it.
The wind would eventually subside, and Jim would look outside in disbelief.
Devastation everywhere. Right across the street from us, 2 houses got blowed completely away.
100 homes destroyed in Fairlane Harbor. Jim's home would survive, and he would make the decision to stay. Funny thing about that decision, that's how he met Holly, his current wife.
He just came up and we started talking, and it goes from there. It's amazing, at this stage in our lives that we have found each other.
They would marry 3 years later, and this is where they now live. The same community, but their house now on stilts. In Vero Beach, Suzanne Boyd, CBS 12 News.
Jean is the 12th deadliest storm in Atlantic hurricane history.
The storm caused widespread property damage totaling $6.8 billion, making it the 13th costliest hurricane in U.S. history.
The National Hurricane Center began naming hurricanes in 1950. 3 years earlier, an unnamed storm left its mark on South Florida. CBS 12's Rick Blackwell takes us to Fort Lauderdale for number 11 on our Storms of the Century countdown.
This is Fort Lauderdale as we know it today. But in 1947, this coastal community wasn't as built up. Christopher Barfield is the curator at the city's Historical Society.
Mostly small local businesses, and the town was surrounded by farming communities.
The sleepy, developing city of Fort Lauderdale was about to be tested in a major way because 2 weeks after Labor Day, a powerhouse Category 4 hurricane was closing in. Pete Alderman, then 11 years old and living on Hollywood Beach, remembers it well.
We didn't have a TV set. And if we did, they didn't have weather programs on TV or weather warnings.
Alderman, his mother and older brother packed up and headed to their family friend's house a few miles inland.
We just knew that it wasn't smart to stay on the beach.
The slow-moving and large hurricane would deliver a deadly blow. Winds would gust over 150 miles per hour. The entire downtown area would be underwater.
The New River came out of its banks and did not recede after the hurricane passed.
Alderman wouldn't get an ounce of sleep that night. The eerie howling of the wind and the nonstop pounding rain seeping through the house would keep him up.
Mopping up the water coming from the windows and under the door.
He would return to his childhood home along the beach after the storm. Everything was buried under sand.
Well, it was a mess. The city had bulldozers going for 3 days trying to get the sand out of the streets.
Surprisingly, the death toll only reached 17. Barfield says the hurricane would actually do some good. Fort Lauderdale's flooding would create the largest, most important drainage system, which is now known as the South Florida Water Management District. For CBS 12, I'm Rick Blackwell reporting.
Our top 12 storms of the century to hit Florida continues. Next, the superstorm that became the 10th most intense Atlantic hurricane ever recorded. At one point, it was the size of the state of Texas. Then, a look back at a hurricane that roared into the Gulf Coast, making 7 landfalls along its path and becoming the second most destructive storm of the season.
CBS 12 News.
CBS 12 is the one to turn to when severe weather strikes.
This was the monster storm.
Does your department know what kind of chemicals are passing through your town?
Why not just label products that have GMOs in them?
There is a law that prohibits sex offenders from living too close to schools, but there's a loophole.
Luckily, in my case, I had that video to show it's not just another law enforcement officer murdering another person.
Today and every day, the one to turn to is CBS 12 News.
If you've been injured and now the insurance company isn't treating you fairly, tell them I'm calling Gordon & Donner, and then dial 333-3333 or visit fortheinjured.com. Gordon & Donner, for the injured.
Hello everyone, I'm Bob Nichols, here with some exciting news about the latest technology in termite control. Imagine, no more of those embarrassing circus tents over your home. No need to move out of your home to avoid toxic fumes. The time is now, and help is on the way from Gardens Pest Control. They have a new proven technique to treat your home for termites without tetting. Want to learn more about this exciting new termite control? Just call Gardens Pest Control. I did, and trust me, it's the only call you'll need to make for effective termite control. Gardens Pest Control.
If you own your own business, you know how important it is to advertise. You also know how confusing and challenging it can be. With an endless number of options between traditional and new methods, how do you decide which is the best way to reach new customers? If you're a local business owner, you are invited to join us on June 3rd for a free marketing seminar at the CBS 12 studios. You'll learn about the latest consumer trends and get ideas for creating a strategic marketing plan that will grow your business. Seating is limited. Call 561-881-0702 now to reserve your seat.
Listen up. The average car payment is over $400 a month. Why pay that when now through Sunday you can drive new Civics for $139 a month?
Honda, I like it.
The #1 selling compact car, Civic, just $139 a month for only 24 months. And Civics are not half equipped. Civics are fully loaded with standard features not even available on Corolla. Civics, $139 a month for 24 months. It all ends Sunday at your South Florida Honda dealers.
Oh, yeah, I like it.
If you're not getting the answers you want from the insurance company after being in a wreck, tell them I'm calling Gordon & Donner, and then dial 333-3333 or visit fortheinjured.com. Gordon & Donner, for the injured.
With most of Florida surrounded by water, it can provide a hurricane easy access to our coasts. And near the end of the 20th century, all eyes were on the Caribbean for a storm that left people in our state homeless and underwater. CBS 12's Michelle Wright tells us about the incredible impact of Hurricane George coming in at number 10.
West, a popular tourist destination known for its colorful marketplaces, beautiful sunsets, and vibrant nightlife. But as people are enjoying the sights and sounds of Duval Street, the National Hurricane Center is growing concern with Hurricane George in the Caribbean.
Probably the Keys, and that would be my expectation.
September 24th, the National Hurricane Center was now confident that the Florida Keys were going to have a direct impact from George. A C-130 cargo plane was ordered to fly hospital patients from Marathon Key to the mainland.
We don't have a full medical staff. The doctors leave, they evacuate.
September 25th, Hurricane George, packing winds of 105 miles per hour, arrives. Many would ignore the mandatory evacuations, and many would pay the price.
Why didn't you evacuate?
I have 2 cats. We're on a limited income. We have no money.
Big Pine Key and Little Torch Key would be dealt the heaviest damage. Whether its residents couldn't leave or just decided not to go, George didn't discriminate. George would leave the Keys later that night, but the storm wasn't done with Florida. 2 days later, it would make a second landfall in the Panhandle as a Category 2.
It just broke my heart. Just absolutely broke my heart.
Areas just east of Pensacola would receive up to 22 inches of rain, sending rivers out of their banks.
The water got up higher, the current was stronger, and so it did a lot more water damage.
It was the ultimate reminder that it doesn't take a strong hurricane to turn people's lives upside down. Reporting for CBS 12 News, I'm Michelle Wright.
In 2004, Hurricane Ivan was part of the worst hurricane season on record for the state. Ivan was the second of 4 hurricanes that hit over a 6-week period. CBS 12's Eric Roby shows us Hurricane Ivan, number 9.
September 2004, the state still licking its wounds from Hurricanes Charlie and Francis, then more bad news. The forecast track predicting Hurricane Ivan would travel up the spine of the state directly over Lake Okeechobee. This just after a week after Francis battered our entire coastline. Storm-weary residents had a tough choice: keep the shutters up or take them down.
We're trying to get our lives back to normal.
South Floridians would catch a break with this storm. It tricked forecasters and moved further west, hitting the Florida Panhandle. It was their first taste of destruction of the worst hurricane season on record for the state. At one point, Hurricane Ivan was a Category 5 storm off the tip of Cuba. When it made landfall in Florida, it was a strong Category 3.
Oh, he looks pretty bad right now.
Just like Francis, Ivan created an outbreak of powerful tornadoes. This one on Panama City Beach.
Tornado on the ground. Tornado on the ground.
Pensacola also endured a 15-foot storm surge.
Everything's underwater. The beach is gone.
The monster storm made landfall at the Florida-Alabama border with winds of 130 miles per hour. People who decided to ride it out realized too late they made a big mistake.
We thought it wouldn't be that bad.
Yeah, I know.
You know, that's why we took a chance. We didn't think it'd be that bad.
The storm was so powerful that portions of I-10 fell into the Pensacola Bay and would be shut down for months. South Florida was spared by Ivan, but 10 days later, Hurricane Jean made landfall in Stewart. Eric Roby, CBS 12 News.
Our top 12 storms of the century to hit Florida continues. If you were here in 2004, you know, when hurricanes hit, they certainly leave their mark. As we count down the top 12 storms of the century, when a storm named Francis packed a wicked punch.
We've got a male, 30 to 35, stranded at the bus stop. Medium build, pretty eyes. I'm going to make contact. Hi!
Hey.
Let's get you a vehicle.
Oh, no, I can't afford a car.
Drive Time's new low price cancel anytime lease says yes, you can. I say drive, you say time. Drive! No, I say drive, you say time. Drive! I say drive, you say drive. Stop it.
Save yourself. Everyone drives with a cancel anytime lease. Only at Drive Time. Call, click, or visit.
Your ticket to the ultimate driving machine is now just $214 a month.
At Vista BMW in Coconut Creek and Vista BMW in Pompano Beach, drive the vehicle that reflects your finer taste.
with the 2015 BMW 320i for only $214 a month and pay nothing out of pocket for maintenance.
This is the ultimate offer. Only available for a limited time at Vista BMW, where luxury meets value.
I don't believe you.
No way.
How's that possible? That's crazy.
I don't believe you.
I find that really hard to believe.
I don't know about that.
No way.
2 pairs of glasses for $69.95 with a free eye exam.
I paid way too much.
It's true. At America's Best, we've been selling quality eyewear at low prices for 35 years. Call 1-800-2-PAIR or visit americasbest.com today.
If you've been injured, suddenly your life is different. You probably didn't realize how fast, violent, and harmful a crash can be. Call me. When you call us at the Tickton Law Group, we see you right away and get your claim started immediately. Pick up the phone and call me now. Let us take care of you.
For a free consultation, visit LegalBrains.com or call 772-539-5144 or 561-392-6933. Call now.
So darling, darling, stay by me. Oh, stay.
The Memorial Day event is here at your South Florida Ford store. Discover why more people choose Ford than any other brand. Active military personnel, veterans, and retirees receive up to $1,000 cash on most Ford vehicles. Plus, lease the 2015 Escape for $199 a month for 24 months.
Stand by me.
Hurry, end soon.
For many of us, Florida is a great place to call home. And when disaster struck more than a half century ago, Donna hit especially hard for a Florida man whose family helped put their town on the map. CBS 12's Israel Balderas talks with the man who survived Hurricane Donna, our number 8 storm.
Bonita Springs, Florida, a place that holds a special meaning for 70-year-old Byron Lyles. His family were original settlers of this city. It's where he built his home, and his father built this home when he was a child.
Most of his thought went into hurricanes.
It's September 10th, 1960, and 16-year-old Byron was about to find out if his home is hurricane-proof after all, as Hurricane Donna, with 140-mile-per-hour winds, is tearing up the Florida Keys.
And when they knew that it was going to hit Key West, they knew that it was likely to hit us.
Donna struck Bonita Springs that afternoon. Byron's father, listening to the radio report in his car, comes back in the house.
He came in and my mother said, well, where's the storm now? And he said, it's right here. He said, we're getting it. All the windows would rattle and the house would tremble.
4 hours later, as they huddled in their living room, the pounding rain and howling wind stop. The eye is over them.
And it's just absolute calm and bright sunlight.
Against his dad's wishes, Byron and his mother went to check out the damage. In fear of a wall of dark clouds closing in, they race back home as Donna's worst is closing in.
We just sat and waited, sat and waited and hoped that nothing went.
4 hours later, it was over. The house survived, but 4 miles away, the beachfront strip mall lay in shambles. 2 store owners that Byron knew are dead.
I saw the hearses go in there, the coroner and the hearses, and to pick up their bodies.
Like other native old-timers, Byron hasn't left Bonita Springs, but it was Donna that changed his perspective on hurricanes forever. For CBS 12 News, I'm Israel Balderas reporting.
Now to a storm that made landfall just south of Hutchinson Island over Labor Day weekend 2004. Hurricane Frances developed in August, tracking slowly across the Atlantic, peaking as a Category 4 hurricane as it passed north of the Leeward and Virgin Islands. It weakened, then re-intensified, and continued toward South Florida. The days that followed were full of nervousness, fright, and fear. CBS 12's Chris Farrell with how Hurricane Frances left its mark. It's number 7.
2004. It was the year of the Big Four. Hurricanes Charlie, Frances, Ivan, and Jean.
Charlie would miss the Palm Beaches and Treasure Coast, but the next one, Frances, would not.
That's why we need to all make preparations right now. We all got to put the plywood up.
In West Palm Beach, Eleanor Torillo and her family did as they were told and prepared for Hurricane Frances, packing winds of 105 miles an hour. But it wouldn't be enough. Frances creeps through the Bahamas and makes landfall on the night of September 4th on South Hutchinson Island.
We just kind of huddled back into the kitchen area, and the stuff just kept falling down, and the rain just kept on coming in.
Their home was coming undone. So during the height of Frances and the height of their fears, they reached out to CBS 12 on air.
Right now, I'm looking at my living room. I'm looking up, and there's the raptors. Everything's falling in.
There's a gripping in your stomach that we're not going to live.
Hurricane force winds would batter our area for nearly a full day. Eleanor would suffer severe damage to her home, but she and her family were okay. The majority of everyone else from the Treasure Coast to the Palm Beaches would lose power for weeks.
We are not aware of any situation in history where there's been this many customers for a utility without power.
5 people lost their lives. As the storm faded, people who evacuated would return home. Some breathed a sigh of relief.
Praise the Lord. Yes.
Others suffered the same fate as Eleanor. In fact, entire communities like this one were destroyed.
95% of this park is gone.
And the hurricane season would show no mercy in 2004 because 3 weeks later, Category 3 Hurricane Jeanne was paying the very same area a deadly visit. For CBS 12 News, I'm meteorologist Chris Farrell.
Our top 12 storms of the century to hit Florida continues next. It was the deadliest and cost the state the most amount of money. In our countdown, we take you back to 1926, when a major hurricane hit, at a time when storms didn't even have names.
Grab your pickaxe, because now there's even more gold to be found in Florida. Introducing the family of Gold Rush scratch-off games from the Florida Lottery. 5 Gold Rush tickets to choose from, with a top prize of $3 million. Now there's more gold than ever. Play the $1, $2, $5, $10, and $20 tickets for a chance to win your part of over $700 million in total cash prizes. The Gold Rush family of scratch-off games. Get ready to strike it rich from the Florida Lottery.
Car accident?
People are talking about Steinger is going green.
They sure are. Get this. After Maritza's accident, they got her $94,000.
I like the sound of that.
Then you'll love this. They got Eric $392,000 after his accident.
Check this out. Steinger is going green got Rod $900,000.
$900,000? Talk about getting paid.
If you've been injured in a car accident, find out why people are talking about Steinger is going green.
800-561-1111.
Hi, it's Brad.
And Allison from Beach Environmental. People often ask us, what is environmental pest control?
For us, it started with our family. Our dad has always been a bug guy, and our mom's a true nature lover.
Add 2 dogs and a brother Brad who's allergic to almost everything meant harsh chemicals were never an option.
At Beach Environmental, we treat your home with solutions safe for kids, pets, and the environment.
Do you have a pest problem? Give us a call for a free same-day inspection.
Beach Environmental, we eliminate pests.
Your relationship with your dog is pure. It's innocent. It's work, but it's perfect. You wouldn't trade it for the world. So protect your dog with Trifexis. Trifexis is the monthly beef-flavored tablet that prevents heartworm disease, kills fleas, and prevents infestations, and treats and controls hook, round, and whipworm infections. Treatment with fewer than 3 monthly doses after exposure to mosquitoes may not provide complete heartworm prevention. The most common adverse reactions were vomiting, depression, and itching. Serious adverse reactions have been reported following concurrent extra-label use of ivermectin with spinosad, one of the components of Trifexis. Prior to administration, dogs should be tested for existing heartworm infection. You'll take it all, the good and the bad, because that's what makes your relationship irreplaceable. Protect your dog all year long with the 3-in-1 power of Trifexis, available by prescription only. Talk to your veterinarian about how to protect every second you share together.
One of the deadliest and costliest hurricanes to hit our state came at a time before storms were even given names. CBS 12's Michael Ehrenberg has more on the Great Miami Hurricane of 1926. It's number 6 on our countdown.
Miami, Florida, in the summer of 1926. A growing city, tremendously unprepared for the Category 4 hurricane, with winds of 140 miles an hour making a beeline right for them. The type of storm that Neil Dorst at NOAA's Hurricane Research Division chronicles.
You still had an awful lot of new residents who'd moved down from the Midwest and the Northeast who knew nothing about hurricanes.
It's mid-September. A few afternoon showers would fall, but nothing unusual, and that was a big problem. Because in the 1920s, there were no satellites, no radar, no internet to warn them of what was headed their way.
You relied on ship reports, and it was very spotty whether you'd get ship reports of a hurricane approaching.
Early morning, September 18th, without a heads up, the Category 4 storm, known as the Great Miami Hurricane, strikes. But the city wouldn't get word until it was too late. What they thought at first to be a run-of-the-mill thunderstorm would get worse and worse. The first half of the storm would pound the defenseless city, but its residents, who weren't hurricane savvy, were about to learn a deadly lesson. When the eye passed over, people joyfully crowded the streets, thinking the storm had passed. Everyone was wrong.
Richard Gray, as I said, the meteorologist in charge of the Miami Weather Bureau, actually went out into the streets and tried to warn people, no, the storm's not over. You're just in the middle of a big vortex, and you're going to get that second part of the eye coming over you.
Hundreds would die. A storm that not only proved deadly, but if it happened today, would be the costliest on record. On a related note, University of Miami had just opened its doors the very same year. The Great Miami Hurricane of 1926 would give the school its nickname, the Hurricanes. For CBS 12 News, I'm meteorologist Michael Ehrenberg reporting.
Our top 12 storms of the century to hit Florida continues. Next, it's the storm that if you lived through it, you still talk about it to this day. Tonight, a Category 2 storm that packed a punch and left a massive trail of devastation. And then, the massive storm that tore up a major tourist attraction during one of the busiest holiday weekends.
I was sitting at a light, and here comes a tow truck, and it just rams right into the back of my car. I did a lot of research before I decided to call an attorney. Gordon and Donna showed that they had levels of experience that I didn't see from other websites. The website was really the turning point for me because a lot of my questions were answered. I did make the right decision, and I would make the decision again to use Gordon and Donna.
Gordon and Donner, for the injured.
If you own your own business, you know how important it is to advertise. You also know how confusing and challenging it can be. With an endless number of options between traditional and new methods, how do you decide which is the best way to reach new customers? If you're a local business owner, you are invited to join us on June 3rd for a free marketing seminar at the CBS 12 studios. You'll learn about the latest consumer trends and get ideas for creating a strategic marketing plan that will grow your business. Seating is limited. Call 561-881-0702 now to reserve your seat.
Listen up. The average car payment is over $400 a month. Why pay that? When now through Sunday you can drive new CR-Vs $209 a month.
Honda, I like it.
The #1 selling SUV and Motor Trend's SUV of the year. CR-V, just $209. And CR-Vs are not half equipped. They're fully loaded with power tailgate, audio text reader, rear view camera, and more. Just $209 a month. It all ends Sunday at your South Florida Honda dealers.
Oh, yeah, I like it.
You've been hurt in a car crash and you need a lawyer, but you don't know who to call. I got it. Call me. The Tickton Law Group will make your claim and help with incidentals such as medical, car repair, or car replacement at no cost to you. In fact, you pay nothing unless we succeed. Call me now.
For a free consultation, visit LegalBrains.com or call 772-539-5144 or 561-392-6933. Call now.
Did I miss out?
No, our sales event is still going on.
I called in sick.
I get it. You don't want to miss the great deals.
Luckily, my boss is out sick, too. Mitchell? Sir, I thought you...
What goes on at the sales event stays at the sales event.
Let's look at some cars. Let's do it.
Right now at the Toyota Time Sales Event, get a low 0% APR for 36 months on a new 2015 Toyota Corolla. That's just 0% APR.
Well, I got a great deal.
Thanks, Jan.
Feel better now?
Toyota, let's go places.
We will get to the top 6 storms of the century in just a bit, but first, let's review hurricanes 12 through 7 that left a devastating impact here in South Florida. Coming in at number 12, Hurricane Jeanne. The storm blamed for thousands of deaths, including 4 right here in Florida, costing $6.8 billion. At number 11, the 1947 storm that slammed Fort Lauderdale. That powerful storm killed 51 people and caused $110 million in damage. At number 10, Hurricane George that struck at the end of September in 1998. That storm killed 604 people and cost $10 billion in damage. At number 9, Hurricane Ivan. The monster storm hit Pensacola as a Category 3, causing $18 billion in damage. At number 8, Hurricane Donna. At least 364 people were killed by the storm, and property damage was estimated at $900 million. And at number 7, Hurricane Francis. The powerful storm packed winds of 145 miles an hour and caused $12 billion in damage. A total of 49 lives were lost from that hurricane. Now, a strong Category 2 storm that left a church destroyed. Stephanie Watson joins us now with that.
John, this one we'll never forget, especially for those at Our Savior Lutheran Church after their place of worship was obliterated. Hurricane Wilma is number 5 in our Storm of the Century countdown.
2005 was no ordinary hurricane season. Late October is when you'd expect things to quiet down, but not this year. Category 4 Hurricane Wilma was wreaking havoc on the resort cities of Cancun and Cozumel, Mexico. The forecast track would then take it here to South Florida. But how much steam would it have left? October 24th, Our Savior Lutheran Church in Lake Worth would find out.
The wind is blowing horizontally and the rain is coming at us horizontally, and it is blowing quite fiercely.
Wilma would be absorbed by an unusually strong cold front and slingshot through our area in less than 12 hours. 120-mile-per-hour winds would reduce the church's main sanctuary to a pile of wood and shingles. Pastor Steve Whipperman, riding out the storm at home, remembers getting the call.
The police called after the hurricane, just immediately after the hurricane, and said, "Your church is in the street."
The church, once a staple in Lake Worth, around since the 1960s, was gone, just like that. And members of the congregation were left stunned when they'd make their way back to a place they felt safest.
I cried, then just numb. I just couldn't believe the damage that was done.
All that remained of the church was the gymnasium and concrete slab the main sanctuary once stood on. That slab was demolished in February. But Wilma wasn't enough to shut the church down.
You see, a church is far more than a building, isn't it? Church is a people.
Since 2005, they have been worshiping in, you guessed it, the gymnasium. The hope is to make the gym more church-like over the coming years. And the lesson they learned with Wilma, it's possible to bend without breaking.
And Jeff, I remember Wilma well, as the area where I was working at the time took a direct hit coming on land as a Category 3.
Thanks, Steph. Now to a storm that killed hundreds during the height of the Great Depression. It came with little warning, and it struck the Upper Keys, destroying the railroad built by Henry Flagler. CBS 12's John Matthews has the Labor Day hurricane of 1935, number 4 on our top 12 storms of the century.
The Florida Keys are no stranger to the ferocious winds hurricanes can bring, but none can compare to the Labor Day hurricane of 1935, the strongest storm to ever hit the U.S.
A lot of the old conchs, a lot of the veterans down there, they had no chance.
Late August, massive clouds gather east of the Bahamas, and a few days later, these clouds organize into a Category 1 hurricane. But forecasters initially pegged the storm to move due west and hit Cuba.
They start changing their forecast. It's not, it's not heading for Cuba, it's heading for the Keys. Again, panic ensues.
The hurricane reaches the warm waters of the Gulf Stream and explodes in intensity. The winds now are a deadly 185 miles an hour, and the storm slams into the Upper Keys on Labor Day.
It came ashore probably just as it was strengthening.
Back then, the only way on and off the chain of islands was the railroad built by Henry Flagler. A train was sent down from Homestead, but it would never make it.
It was washed off the tracks by the 20-foot storm surge that came in with the hurricane.
The biggest loss of life would happen to World War I veterans. They were sent by the government to help build a highway that would connect the Keys to the mainland.
It was to inject money into the economy.
Many of the workers, while hunkering down in their camps, would be caught off guard by the power of the storm and lose their lives. The new highway and the railway would be severely damaged.
The tracks were so badly damaged, the FEC felt they couldn't recover from that, and at that point in history, they decided to sell the right-of-way to the state of Florida, who then used that right-of-way for the overseas highway.
It would take years for the Keys to recover and become what we know them to be today. For CBS 12 News, I'm meteorologist John Matthews.
It may not make our top 12 countdown, but it's a storm we will never forget. We're talking about Hurricane Katrina. The monster storm killed more than 1,800 people and left tens of thousands stranded. Tonight, the haunting memories that remain for a Florida Coast Guard rescue swimmer who got the call to help save the stranded.
CBS 12's mission is to be the one to turn to for you, the viewer.
You want a balance in the news. You want to hear the news of the day, the top headlines, but you also want us to dig deeper, asking those questions that you want answered.
It's also being able to question the answers as well.
Being a watchdog.
We are always trying to look out for the viewer.
If we're not going to look out for the little guy, who is?
Always in your corner, always fighting for you.
The one to turn to, you can depend on us.
CBS 12 News.
It's the I-95 RV show in Port St. Lucie. You'll save thousands on a new or used RV. Like this new Fleetwood Discovery diesel pusher, discounted over $113,000. The I-95 RV show is going on now at La Mesa RV in Port St. Lucie.
So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand.
The Memorial Day event is here at your South Florida Ford store. Discover why more people choose Ford than any other brand. Active military personnel, veterans, and retirees receive up to $1,000 cash on most Ford vehicles. Plus, lease the 2015 Fusion for $169 a month for 36 months. Hurry, end soon.
You need an attorney, and the best attorney to use is Kogan and DeSalvo.
Kogan and DeSalvo were key and elemental in helping me with the insurance company.
They were the liaison for all of the doctors, all of the lawyers, and they took the fear out of it for me.
How can you say too much when, to this very day, they're still in your corner?
The outcome was exactly what I had hoped for.
I'm attorney Daryl Kogan. If you or a loved one has been seriously injured, call Kogan and DeSalvo now.
Kogan has helped us a firm to use.
AutoNation's race to our 10 million sale is on. Almost there. Got it. 10 million.
It's AutoNation's race to 10 million sales event. Millions have saved. Now you can too. Qualified buyers get new Fusions or Escapes, $149 a month at 4 AutoNation Ford stores.
When AutoNation races to 10 million,
you win. It's the I-95 RV show in Port St. Lucie. You'll save thousands on a new or used RV. Like this new Itasca by Winnebago Rayo, discounted to just $528 per month. The I-95 RV show is going on now at La Mesa RV in Port St. Lucie.
One of the worst storms that hit the United States just brushed our area. Hurricane Katrina did not make our countdown, but we did feel both the impact and the effects. We had hundreds of people come to our area from the Gulf Coast. After leaving our state, Katrina intensified and made a second landfall on August 29th. More than 5,600 Coast Guardsmen were called into action, among them the wife of a CBS 12 employee who to this day is still haunted by what she saw and had to do.
We knew it was going to be bad.
Sarah Faulkner has been in the Coast Guard for 18 years.
We get a phone call, you guys need to get back right now. People are dying.
Highways, buildings, even roller coasters underwater. The rescues began immediately.
My first thought was, we're too small. We're not going to get them all.
You see, the Coast Guard was the only one there, and there were tens of thousands of people stranded and desperate.
And the mother just reached over the balcony. I'm hanging from the helicopter cable, and she just hung her baby over the balcony for me to grab. So basically, I held a baby in my bare arms, swinging and spinning and going up.
The helicopters were running 24/7 for the first several days, people waving desperately to get her attention, but Sarah couldn't get to them all.
And as it would get dark, and they're waving their flashlights, and I was just thinking, save your battery light. Like, you're not getting rescued today. And that really, really bothered me.
But there were many she did rescue, and Sarah was moved by their gratitude.
I was getting hugs and God bless you and thank you. I kept telling them thank you, that they held out, that they were still alive, that I was able to get them out of there.
Sarah remembers those rescues, and one in particular. After helping Sarah hoist 21 others from a balcony to the chopper, Larry was the last to go up.
When I got lowered down to come get him, he had a little cat carrier with a chihuahua and a cat in it, and he said, "Can I bring them?" And I said, "Absolutely." And he said, "Sarah, did I ever tell you I love you?" And I said, "I love you too, Larry."
Sarah never again saw any of the 52 people she personally rescued during those missions, but if she could, she'd like to see Larry again and say thanks.
Our top 12 storms of the century to hit Florida continues. Next, it was the Friday the 13th storm that took many by surprise. Tonight, we go back 10 years to the Category 4 storm that is one we will never forget.
If you own your own business, you know how important it is to advertise. You also know how confusing and challenging it can be. With an endless number of options between traditional and new methods, how do you decide which is the best way to reach new customers? If you're a local business owner, you are invited to join us on June 3rd for a free marketing seminar at the CBS 12 Studios. You'll learn about the latest consumer trends and get ideas for creating a strategic marketing plan that will grow your business. Seating is limited. Call 561-881-0702 now to reserve your seat.
Listen up. The average car payment is over $400 a month. Why pay that when now through Sunday you can drive new Hondas from $139 a month?
Honda, I like it.
The average car price over $33,000. Don't pay that when you can have a new Honda from $16,315. Number one selling Hondas, not half equipped. They're fully loaded from $139 a month or $16,315. It all ends Sunday at your South Florida Honda dealers.
Oh yeah, I like it.
Eyeglass World asks, what do you look for when you buy glasses?
I like to mix it up, so I need bold styles, classic styles, and affordable prices. Having lots of choices and saving money is important. That's why I come to Eyeglass World.
Only Eyeglass World gives you 2 pairs for $78, so you can always afford more than 1 pair.
My glasses are part of my personal style. They're me.
Eyeglass World. Glasses that make the difference. Prices that make it possible.
You're a natural caregiver who wants to help people and make a difference in your community. Fortis can prepare you to join today's healthcare team as a nurse. Fortis provides innovative nursing simulation, clinical experience, and classroom instruction for the education you need to do what you love. Fortis, your life powered by learning. Call Fortis today or visit us at fortis.edu.
For dinner. Unbelievable.
Imagine what you could dream up with $10 million. Play the $10 million Florida Cash Scratch-Off game with over 11 million winning tickets. The Florida Lottery. Just imagine.
It was a storm that hit on Friday the 13th in 2004.
A storm that caught many people off guard. Hurricane Charley is number 3 on our top 12 storms of the century.
August 13th, 2004. Hurricane Charlie, a Category 2 hurricane, is set to make landfall in Tampa, not Punta Gorda, where Pat Pressler and her family live.
Oh, it's not going to get us, you know.
Down the street at the pub, enjoying a few beers, they get some sobering news. In just a matter of hours, Charlie has now strengthened from a Category 2 to a Category 4 hurricane. But that was only half the story. Charlie takes a slight jog to the right. Now it was no longer headed for Tampa, it was headed straight for them. The Presslers race home. But by the time they get there, the winds are already picking up.
We got a little nervous, to tell you the truth.
Initially, they ride it out right here in their living room. But as the eye of the storm gets closer, they peek out of one window that was boarded up.
We could see things starting to fly down the street. That made it very clear to me that we were in for something big.
So Pat and her family decide the bathroom is the safest place.
Well, this is the bathroom that we were all in.
Her daughter, Nikki, shown on the right, is 6 months pregnant.
Thank God she didn't go into labor. Yeah, that would have been, there was nothing we could have done.
With each gust of wind, Pat's husband has to hold the door shut.
He was standing here, and we heard a lot of...
And then, for just a second, the house completely lifts up off the foundation.
We were in fear for our lives.
And then, just like that, the 145-mile-an-hour winds die down and the sun comes out. They're in the eye of the storm, but it wouldn't last long. Within a matter of minutes, the winds crank back up to 145 miles an hour, and now everyone is praying for their lives.
Please, Lord, let us see us through this terrible storm. You've always been by our sides.
A few hours later, the winds die down, and they survive. The house survives. But when they look outside, the city of Punta Gorda is completely devastated.
I saw the destruction, and there was just heartbreaking.
10 years later, the destruction is gone, but the mental images of what happened still remain etched in the minds of Pat and her family.
I never want to do it again. It was horrific. It was a very terrifying event.
Charlie caused 10 deaths.
The damage also added up to $15.4 billion.
Another unnamed storm is as catastrophic as they get, with winds so strong that cities along the beach were left in a shambles. But it took days to even realize it, even 40 miles inland. The Okeechobee hurricane of 1928 comes in at number 2. A storm so devastating, so unimaginable, and it strikes Palm Beach County 86 years ago. But with few survivors left, we have to dig deep into the archives to tell its story. This is Debbie Murray. She's chief curator at the Historical Society of Palm Beach County.
I don't think we can imagine that devastation.
The 1928 Okeechobee hurricane was in a class all its own, the second deadliest to strike the U.S. and the deadliest to hit our state. It would come ashore in northern Palm Beach County as a Category 4 storm with winds of 145 miles an hour during the morning of September 17th.
Destroyed homes, destroyed businesses, debris laying everywhere.
This was how it looked along Flagler Drive. But this storm got its name from what it did along the shores of Lake Okeechobee.
It was several days before people along the coast realized how badly Okeechobee area had been hit.
As the storm ripped across Palm Beach County, 145-mile-an-hour winds would pile Lake Okeechobee's waters against the south shore. But the small dike that was in place then wouldn't hold. Water rushed into the cities of Belle Glade, Pahokee, Canal Point, and South Bay. People and homes would be washed away.
Killed thousands of migrant workers who had come up here from the Bahamas or the other Caribbean islands to work the fields out in the glades.
The days to follow would be brutal. Lake Okeechobee's South Shore communities were inundated with floodwaters and floating bodies for weeks. Getting people to help in the recovery process was often difficult.
They recruited people off the streets of West Palm Beach at gunpoint.
This, along with the 1926 Miami hurricane, would get the ball rolling on the eventual creation of the Herbert Hoover Dike. It spans just about the entire lake, and its design is supposed to prevent another 1928 hurricane situation from happening again. We've shown you 11 powerful and devastating hurricanes that ravaged the state. Next, we take a look at our #1 storm of the century.
A massive hurricane that slammed South Florida 22 years ago, leveling everything in its path and changing the face of South Florida forever. That's next in the top 12 storms of the century.
Hi.
Hi, we're here to look at a Camry.
We just came from a birthday party. Oh, let me get you a new one.
Camrys are so reliable.
Yeah. And you gotta love that bold new styling. Here you go. Whoa.
Wow.
Those balloon towers don't make themselves.
Right now at the Toyota Time Sales Event, get a 2-year, no-cost maintenance lease on a new 2015 Toyota Camry SE for $199 a month. That's just $199 a month.
Thanks, Jen.
Thanks, Jen. Now you both have Camrys. Yeah.
Toyota, let's go places.
I was involved in a car crash in which a young man from out of state ran a red light and hit my vehicle. Having an attorney of substance is very important, one who's willing to be able to invest in the case and stay with it. Gordon and Donna has a reputation for helping the little guy, and my advice to anybody is not to try to take on the legal system themselves. Use Gordon and Donna and let them do what they do best.
Gordon and Donner, for the injured.
AutoNation's race to our 10 million sale is on. Almost there. Got it. 10 million.
It's AutoNation's Race to 10 Million sales event. Millions have saved. Now you can too. Current lessees get a new Cadillac SRX for $339 a month at AutoNation Cadillac, West Palm Beach.
When AutoNation races to 10 million,
You win.
CBS 12 News, the one to turn to every day.
Breaking news right now. We're told at least one person.
The FCC chairman and the other 4 commissioners will make a decision. One county fire rescue operation is demanding answers.
What do you say to the taxpayers who are paying for it?
Do you honestly believe that GMOs are safe?
We wanted to know what emergency officials know about what's on the rails.
A CBS 12 investigation revealed
the people who are involved in the scheme were submitting false claims to insurance companies.
Today and every day, the one to turn to is CBS 12 News.
At CBS 12, we are very active on social media. In the morning, I'm constantly having conversations with people on Facebook and Twitter.
We get a lot of our news tips on Twitter, and because of that, I am on it constantly. Through the commercial breaks, my fingers are flying.
We're able to find out stuff instantaneously.
You know, it's something I enjoy to do, but it's something I feel is necessary in this day and age to make sure that you have the most up-to-date information.
It's kind of fun. It's great to talk with viewers and hear what they have to think about our newscast as it's happening.
Coming in at number 12, Hurricane Jeanne. The storm blamed for thousands of deaths, including 4 in Florida, and costing $6.8 billion. At number 11, the 1947 storm that slammed Fort Lauderdale. That powerful storm killed 51 people and caused $110 million in damage. At number 10, Hurricane George, that struck at the end of September 1998. The storm killed 604 people and caused $10 billion in damage. At number 9, Hurricane Ivan. The monster storm hit Pensacola as a Category 3, causing $18 billion in damage. At number 8, Hurricane Donna. At least 364 people were killed by the storm, and property damage was estimated at $900 million. At number 7, Hurricane Francis. The powerful storm packed winds of 145 miles per hour and caused $12 billion in damage. A total of 49 lives were lost from the hurricane. Number 6, the storm of 1926. This hurricane killed hundreds, and if it happened today, it would be the costliest on record. Number 5, Hurricane Wilma. The storm was the most intense tropical cyclone ever recorded in the Atlantic Basin. At least 62 deaths were reported, and damage was estimated at $29.1 billion. Number 4, the hurricane of 1935, the strongest storm to ever hit the U.S. The hurricane killed more than 400 people, nearly all in the Florida Keys. Number 3, Hurricane Charlie. Charlie caused 10 deaths and $15.4 billion in damage, making it the 8th costliest hurricane in United States history at the time. Number 2, the 1928 Okeechobee hurricane. The monster storm caused $100 million in damage and more than 4,000 deaths. We've reached the benchmark for all storms, the one that's burned into every South Floridian's memory.
Hurricane Andrew is number 1 in the top 12 storms of the century.
It was a storm that proved just how fickle hurricanes can be, even to those who study them, like Standy Goldenberg at NOAA's Hurricane Research Division in Miami.
Andrew was falling apart and moving out to sea. There was actually a headline in the paper about that. So this was a dramatic change.
But Goldenberg was about to endure the most horrific night of his life, along with his 3 sons. A day before Andrew hits, he's at the hospital with his wife, Barbara. She's in labor, and their 4th child, Pearl, is on the way.
I now knew that I was facing the birth of the baby and this monster storm heading towards Miami, and I was kind of short-circuiting.
August 23rd, Pearl is born right on schedule.
Oh, look at that! Look at that face!
But Goldenberg is now faced with a tough decision.
I was trying to decide whether to stay with her at the hospital. I really didn't want to leave her, and my mother-in-law was with her.
He, his 3 sons, and brother-in-law's family would ride out Andrew at their home in Cutler Ridge. They scrambled to put plywood over the windows.
I remember sitting in the house before the storm. Gee, it's nice to be protected. And little did I know.
At first, the mood in the Goldenberg household is light as Andrew approaches.
Benjamin, Joseph, Aaron, Reuben.
Shortly after midnight, hurricane-force winds arrive. All 9 of them are riding it out in the hallway.
In the hallway of the Goldenberg house, winds outside I think are at least 100, 110 miles an hour or more.
But around 4 a.m., Andrew would show them a whole new level. The eye wall, packing sustained winds of 150 miles per hour, arrives.
It was like someone took a giant gearbox and just revved the thing up. It was a tremendous difference.
The plywood covering the windows gets ripped off, and now they're in trouble.
Waiting out in the hall because we lost the plywood on the front window, but we are praying God will cover that.
They head to the garage to ride it out in a station wagon, but the garage is gone.
You know, I'm saying to the kids, it's okay, it's okay. You know, here's the voice of their father saying it's okay. And it's like, but I was scared.
They backtrack and make it as far as the kitchen. While hunkering down there, one of the kitchen walls collapses and misses them by inches. It creates a crawl space where the 9 of them would ride out Andrew's strongest winds. But Goldenberg's brother-in-law reveals something chilling.
He said, the roof is gone. And I really didn't believe him. I mean, I was like, nah.
The winds subside just enough for him and his family to make another run to the station wagon when suddenly they hear a knock at the door.
The neighbor had seen the light in the car and came across the street and kind of risked themselves, came across the street and said, you want to come, to our house? It was like, yes, yes.
The storm winds down and the daylight reveals just how bad it was.
The roof lifted off. And as you can see, we have no house. It was surreal. I mean, you couldn't recognize the streets. The street signs were gone. The lights were gone. And you would drive down a familiar area and not know where you were.
Goldenberg would have to wait a painful 24 hours until he could finally get through to his wife, Barbara, at the hospital.
So I finally got a hold of her. I remember I just wept. I mean, the emotions just poured out. And she was grateful we were alive.
Andrew would kill 16 people and leave nearly 200,000 homeless. It would turn parts of Miami-Dade County into what looked like a third world country. It was the ultimate reminder of how vulnerable this place we call paradise can become come hurricane season.
And here's a quick blast from the past. This is our very own Liz Quirantes covering the aftermath of Hurricane Andrew back in 1992. And don't forget, you can watch all of our top 12 storms of the century by heading to our website, cbs12.com.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Liz Quirantes.
And I'm John DeCepolo. Thanks for watching.
Is CBS 12 the one to turn to for weather?
More meteorologists.
More local experience.
More screens.
Means you're protected with accuracy.
Anytime, anywhere, any device.
Oh, and by the way, we're the only station that has a 24-hour weather channel.
The one to turn to for weather? CBS 12.
Coming up Monday on CBS 12 News this morning, a lot more rain moving in for our work week. What you need to know with weather traffic together every 10 minutes starting 4:30 a.m.
Bremen BMW of Jupiter is under construction, but we have to stay open to move our excess inventory. To make room, we're making deals. Hundreds of BMWs must be sold, so our dust is your advantage. New BMWs from only $239 a month. Financing as low as 0.9%. Pre-owned vehicles with special construction markdowns. And during our construction, make no payments for 90 days. The construction sales event, now at Bremen BMW of Jupiter. Our dust is your advantage, so come in and save thousands. Don't miss it.
Hi, it's Brad.
And Allison from Beach Environmental. Season is here, and visitors are traveling from around the world to see our beautiful beaches, luxury homes, tropical landscape, and gorgeous weather.
The only problem is they want to leave with part of your house. It's termite season.
And unwelcome guests are arriving daily.
Termites are well organized and will work together to destroy your house from the inside out.
Do you have termites? Give us a call for a free same-day inspection.
Beach Environmental. We eliminate termites.
So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand.
The Memorial Day event is here at your South Florida Ford store. Discover why more people choose Ford than any other brand. Active military personnel, veterans, and retirees receive up to $1,000 cash on most Ford vehicles. Plus, lease the 2015 Focus for $159 a month for 36 months. Hurry, ends soon.
Wouldn't it be amazing if every time you fell asleep, you fell in love? Honestly, amazing sleep.
CBS 12 News, the one to turn to every day.
Does your department know what kind of chemicals are passing through your town?
Why not just label products that have GMOs in them?
Today and every day, the one to turn to is CBS 12 News.
CBS12.com, the one to turn to online.
Mark Hilgenberger guest stars in the season premiere of Under the Dome, Thursday, June 25th.
CBS